Hi, welcome back. I'm so happy that you're here. Last week we had some technical difficulties, so I'm trying a new recording program, so we'll see how this works. So one of the things that I want to start off with today is to show you a little bit about how AI can help you in your family history research. And if you're just a brand new beginner, don't be afraid. Watch this. You can rewatch this. I want to show you how you can set it up on your FamilySearch account. So the first thing you need to make sure is that you have a FamilySearch account. If you need help with setting that up, would you just post that in the comments? I don't know the experience level that we have of people that are watching. But if we need to do that very basic tutorial about getting started, I'm kind of assuming that most people have a FamilySearch account, but really don't know how to access everything that we have. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to share screen, and this is a whole new, let's see, share screen. There we go. So I'm going to share my screen, and we'll share the entire screen. All right. So you should see my entire screen now. I am going to go to my home. This is on my home page of FamilySearch. We'll talk a little bit about the home page later. What I want to focus on is this FamilySearch Labs, this bright blue box. For now, it is on this main page. This is something that the developers, the engineers, programmers, they are working within this and creating programs for us. So you will go here and view experiments. I'm going to show two of the coolest things that will help you with your family history research. As you can see, there's there's 8 different programs that you could use. We're going to focus on first this very simple one, which is Grow Your Tree with AI Research Assistant. So if AI sounds a little daunting or scary to you, it is one of the best things for family history right now, today. It's constantly developing. They're actually, they say every day there are new changes. So you're going to click on, it'll say try it on your button. For some reason, I couldn't get mine to turn off. So you could turn it off and then it'll disappear and then you'd come back. I don't see any reason why you'd want to turn it off unless you needed to reset it. My husband actually stopped getting hints. That's one of the things that it will do. And so he turned his off and then turned it back on and then it was working. So then you'll just say go to experiment once you've turned it on or tried it, and it'll take you to the main page. So right up here at the top, most of you will see this little temple box. Right below, you will end up with an AI Research Assistant box. So you can see here that it says it's a labs experiment. So know that it's not perfect, but it is going to search your tree, any information that you have on each individual, and it will come up with about 5 people that it thinks it may have found, something missing. This one's a possible child, another possible child. Here's a possible spouse, possible children of this Matilda Jonsdottir. So it's giving me some hints of places to go. So if you in the past have thought doing family history was just really difficult, I don't know where to look on my tree, it's never been easier. So just remember that this AI Research Assistant is still being trained. Here's a little tutorial button. You can click on that and it will talk a little bit about what the AI Research Assistant will do for you. I will allow you to watch that on your own. I'm just going to jump in and show you a little bit about how to use this. So I'm kind of intrigued about this possible children. I feel like that's going to give me the most bang for my buck. If I've just got a few minutes to attach one record, and that's really what you're going to be doing, is attaching a source. So if you're not familiar with attaching sources, we will be doing another little session where I will talk about sources. So you can just watch, and then we'll do another one where we're just more intensively in sources and how do you decide whether you should attach the source or not. But hopefully by watching this, you can get a little bit of an idea of how attaching sources works. So first of all, let's talk about what a source is. So a source is a record. Generally, it's a primary source. It's something that was written with the people alive. And they were the ones to either give the information or they were the parents to give the information. Somebody that was close to somebody in that record gave that information. And that proves the information we have in the tree. As you can imagine, the name John Smith is a very common name. And so if you have a John Smith, you're going to need some other things that would identify that it's your John Smith. It could be an occupation. It could be the name of a farm or an address. It could be the spouse or parents or children. It could be a birth date or a death date. You need more than just the John Smith. And when you have something that's that general of a name, you need a few more identifier pieces. So we'll talk about that. Let's just try this one. So first of all, this possible children of Matilda Jonsdottir. I can click see details, and it gives me a little bit of the information about what this is. It says that it's a census record for Matilda, and it's Jonsdottir. And so you see this DR, that means it's an abbreviation for Dotter, which is daughter. She's the daughter of Jons, and that's patronymic. So she would take the father of Jons. So my dad's name was Fred. So I would have been Colette, Fred's daughter, if I grew up in Sweden. This is a Sweden household examination book. So the household examination books, if you've got Swedish ancestors, are amazing. They will give you information about the family continuously. It's not like a census that was done every 10 years. They interviewed the family every year and tested them on their knowledge of the Lutheran Catechism, the Ten Commandments, their ability to read and write. If they could read out of the book, they wanted to see if they were good Christians. And then they also collected taxes. So it was kind of a dual purpose in Sweden, but they would record if they moved in, if they moved out, their deaths, if they had been vaccinated, which that's very helpful because it helps you also track them. So there's vaccination records as well. If they moved from one parish to another. So if you've got Swedish ancestry, let me know and we can do a little session on Swedish records. So this one, that's basically what this is. And it says, please review the information and determine if these relationships are correct. So AI says, we think that these children, Johan, Harry, and this is something very important to know on these Sweden household records. AI has not done it correctly. It's given the mother's last name to the children. In a household record, the father's listed first, then the wife, and she always kept her maiden name. And so the computer thought that all of the children, because they were listed as Johan Harry with nothing and Sigrid Victoria with nothing, it just automatically populated with the last name of Jonsdottir. So we'll show you how you can change that. So it's saying here that Johan Harry Jonsdottir, which just ignored this part, is listed as a child of Matilda Jonsdottir in the source data. Source data means in the record. It's kind of their technical way of saying it. I hope they'll change that just to say in the record, with a birth date of 1 April 1877 in Finja. This child is not already present in the person data. That's another very technical thing to say. It's not present on your tree. So we're going to take a look at it. But before we do, we're going to go to view relationship. And it tells me that it's my third cousin 4 times removed. The hints that I have gotten and my husband has received are very close. It doesn't go back very far. And it's really exciting to think that I'm helping somebody that's this close. I'd be interested to know what other people are experiencing. You can make a comment. So what we're going to do is review. A review means we're going to see what's in FamilySearch and compare it with what's in the record. So we'll click on the review. And don't be scared about this. Anything that you do, you can undo. If you make a mistake, you can undo it. So let's take a look at this page. Right here, I see there's a green temple. And I can see right here that there's a little clock. This little clock means that it has been shared with the temple, but I could reserve it, which that's really cool. And if I scroll down, I can see she has a husband, Johannes Persson, and there's 6 children. I always like to take a look at the children and see if there's about 2 years between each of their births, because generally they would nurse their child, and when they were done nursing, they would get pregnant again. And in the 1800s, they tended to have a lot of families. In Sweden, in the 1900s, they tended to become less religious, more secular, and their family size shrunk to generally 2 or 3 children. So we see Johannes in 1880, then Esther in 82, Franz in 85, Olga in 87. Then there's a big gap till 95. and then 98. So I'm thinking maybe the hint is for children that were born between here, if it's correct. Another thing I like to look at before I start reviewing and attaching, I look and see if there's anything I can fix. So right here, I see this marriage. It's in the incorrect format. We know that there's not 13 months. So whoever put this in, it would be the 13th day, the 11th month, 1875. Anytime you see a pencil, you can click on the pencil, and there's another one, pencil, and you can edit it. So I'm just going to change this to November. And I don't know where it was. I know the family was living in Sweden, so I'm confident I can put Sweden in there for now, and then we can add more information later. If I had a reason to say this, I would put this here. You can see this was last changed by Alan Clifford Gann, or Clifford Allen Gann, in 2022. If I wanted to send him a message and say, where did you get this information? I could click on his name, and it says he's my 6th cousin. And there's his picture, and I can send him a little chat. And if he's on FamilySearch very often, he might message me back. Also says that he's in the United States. If I clicked on this 6th cousin twice removed, it could show me exactly how we're related. So we go back through here, and I always like to click on the parents of this person and see where they lived, if they were in the United States or in Sweden. That one doesn't say, oh, she died in West Jordan. So that's kind of cool. I did not even realize that I had any relatives that lived in Utah that connected on this line, because this is this line did not join the church. This grandfather joined the church in 1916. This grandmother, they joined in the late 1800s in Sweden. So that's just a little bit about what you'll find in there. But you can put a reason why it's correct if you want. It came from the household records. I'm just going to say save right now. And let's see, it didn't, oh, yep, it updated. There you go. So now we have, and just so you know, the standardized date is 13, or the day, the month, and the year. That's the genealogical standard, and the computer likes that if you do that. Otherwise, you'll get a little warning note up here that will say there's not a standardized death date or a birth date. The other thing I look for is there any missing information? I'm missing a place and a burial. So I want to keep that in mind as I'm searching for the family. Another thing I want to point out is that over here, there are some more record hints. So once you attach one record, and we talked a little bit about record hints a couple of weeks ago, and talked about doing them on your phone. It's a little bit, I could go to the same person on my phone. I can use the same little ID number, or I can type in their name and their birth date and their place, and I can find them, and I can attach the sources on my phone, or I can come here on the computer, whichever you're more comfortable with. We'll go through how to do it on the computer over here. Up here, you also have this AI research assistant. We accepted it, and now it will follow us all over. No matter what person you're on, you will have this little AI research assistant. You can ask it. There's a little tutorial. We're not going to do that today, but you can watch that and learn a little bit about how it works. You can ask AI questions over here, like who were her parents? We have her parents, it looks like. But if we didn't, we could ask that. We could even ask, when were they married? And it may find a marriage record. The other thing I also like to look at when I come onto this page is sources. So you're kind of analyzing everything, and you're saying, what do I have? What am I missing? You always want to look at sources. There's one. And my encouragement is to do work when you have at least one source, preferably more. If you have all of these hints, add every single hint that matches before you reserve the name, because you may find missing children. You may find that it's actually not even the right person, and there's some discrepancies, and you need to fix that. And you want to make sure that it's as correct as possible before you do the work. So I always encourage people to have one source. We're going to click on sources. And here it's a household examination record. So it looks like in 2022, Clifford added that. You can click on this. We'll talk a little bit more about this and what you can do with these sources in another session. But when I look on this, I can see that it's all indexed here, but I could go to this record and click View Original Document and look at it. And then I can compare what's in FamilySearch and make sure it's correct. So you can see you could spend a lot of time all just on one person, or you can come in here and you can just do a quick scan So you want to have an idea. She was born in 1856 in Horia. Her husband was Johannes, and these were the children. So that is your basic search that you want to do. The rest of it is if you're feeling a little more comfortable, a little more advanced, and want to really find everything out about this family, which I highly recommend, and that's a goal to get to that point. Then you would look at all of these other things. And once you've analyzed this family, then you could go on to the next one. For instance, look at all of these kids. We don't have death dates for any of those kids. So we could go look for death dates, or we could click on each of these children and see if they have records that pop up in this corner and attach those. So you could work on one person for actually a decent amount of time. If you're short on time, we're going to do this right here. We're going to go back to this add to your tree, and then we're going to go down to review and attach. So when I click review and attach, I always look to see if there's a view image up here. If there's a view image, I look at that. I'll look at that after I kind of scan what we have in here. So you want to make sure there's a minimum of 3 things that match or nearly match. And you just need to use your best judgment. I know when you're starting, you might feel a little nervous about this. Bring another person in to say, what do you think of this? A spouse, a child, call somebody up. And if you're not sure, move on and try something else that may be a little bit more obvious. So I'm going to look at this and I see it's Matilda, and the Jonsdottir is abbreviated, and that's okay. And there's Jonsdottir here. So it says it's different. If this was DR on this side and this was spelled out, I would come and click on this little pencil and then I could edit it. I'm going to click cancel, and I'm going to now look down at the next thing. So the birth date, 13 January 1856, and that's the exact same on that side. And then when I see the Horia and the Horia, I know this is my person. In my 20 years of doing this, I have never found a child with the exact same name on the exact same birth date. I'm not saying that it couldn't happen, but then if I go down and I look at the husband, Johannes Persson, and then Johannes Persson, 1848, 13 November 1875, 13 November 1875. I am very confident this is my person. So you may say, well, his name over here is Lindgren, and here it's just Persson. Just remember, whatever's put on FamilySearch was based on what we know now is just one record. So another little tip is that in some of the Scandinavian countries, they would take another name. So for whatever reason, he may have joined the military, and this would be his military name. He may have just taken on an extra name to say he's the Johannes Persson from this little place, Lindgren. There's a lot of reasons, and we don't necessarily know why. But because everything else matches, I know that he's just added this in, and I can say that's an alternate name. And then when I come down here, I look and I see that some of these match. So this Johann Harry is the computer matched it up with Johanna Amalia, which is incorrect. This actually, it's probably this Johanna, and see how this name is, I don't even know if I can say this, Emerentia. And then this is Amalia. My guess is that Amalia is more correct, but I would look at the record. So what I do is I look and I see, okay, there's Johann Harry born in 77, and we don't have a child born in 77. So I'll show you how you can put him in the right spot. Then we have Esther Josefina, and remember this Jonsdottir is incorrect. And then we have Franz Oscar, and see the dates, 85 and 85. Now remember, if it's a year off, sometimes even 2, especially in England, if everything else matches up and the years are just off a little bit, remember it's okay. They may have not had their birthday yet. Or maybe somebody rounded up their age. So we'll keep going down. So all of this says, this is my family. Then I go to Olga Augusta. There she is, 87. And then look at this, a child in 90, in that one gap that we said that there's a possibility. Sigrid Victoria in 93. Then we have an Ivar. And then we have a Sven Leonard. So then I think, okay, they could be twins, or it's just the same guy and somebody indexed it as Ivar or Sven. One of these may be wrong, and they're probably the same person. And then we have Judith, and she wasn't born probably yet in this record. So I've got really, this one should be up here and this one should be down here, that could be added. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up and look at the actual record. So if you scroll up here and you click View Image, it will take you to the actual image. And lots of times it's in color. The original ones were in black and white. They started doing that in the 1930s. So we can come up here, and this is a Swedish household record that we talked about. So you might look at this and go, oh my gosh, I'm so intimidated. I don't think I can do this. You can do this. This tells you the farm name where they were living, Ramsberga, number 2. If you don't know how to read cursive very well, you can start to practice. There's classes online. And so you can see here, here's a Johannes Persson Lindgren. And I said, you can see here, you may be saying, I can't see that. But hopefully with time, you can get better at reading these records. In Sweden, they have the birth column, and you kind of can get an idea of that. This is the place where they were born. This is the month, and this is the day, and this is the year. And this column is the marriage. And you're like, well, I can't read Swedish. I don't know any of this. On FamilySearch, there's a FamilySearch wiki, and for every place in the world, there is a page. So you could go to the Sweden page, and there's a Swedish word list, and there's even a section for column headings, so you can learn how to read this. So in looking at this, I've just given you just a little bit of information. This also tells about, these are when they were questioned and how good did they do. Some priests are really good at marking things, some are not. He wasn't very good at it. This right here, AB, means absolved, so they were forgiven of some kind of sin. And then this is moving out. So this person moved out at this point. So that's just a little bit about the Swedish records. Our whole goal is we wanted to come in and look and see a couple of things. So I can see, actually, look at this. It says Johanna, Emerentia. So now I know I need to take that instead of the Amalia. Then let's see, was there another? I'm trying to remember if there's another name. So there's Johan Harry. He was born in 77. And everything else looks really good, so I feel comfortable in adding that. Those are kind of my 2 big questions. If you ever see a name crossed out in a Swedish record, it means that they moved out or they died. So you're going to look for a DOD and a date somewhere over here if they died. This is where he moved out. He went to Kristianstad in 95. It looks like so November 11th. And his little moving out number is number 22. So he was assigned a number in the moving out list. So if you went to that, you'd be able to find that. So you're getting a little bonus Swedish information here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back. And now I feel very comfortable in attaching this record. So let's do a little review. This is the family tree. This is the Sweden household books. We're basically digitally stapling this record to family tree. So anybody who goes to any of these people in the family will see this record, this proof that they lived, and sometimes if they died, if they had that in there. So I always tell people that focus on the person that's under this blue bar. And then you're going to move down through the center. Anything that has this little add button, if it's not on this side already, go ahead and add it. So if they already had the marriage or marriage date, you don't need to move it over again. Otherwise, it just kind of clutters it up. But they don't have that comment in there, so we're going to add and see how this turns green. Then we have a residence. So we're going to click on residence, and that brings that over. Sometimes it may just have, like, here, see how this residence just Ramsberga? I can add to it so it says exactly where it is if I want to be more thorough. So once I've come from the center, it's like going down the stairs. Then I'm going to go over this reason to attach source. And you can put a reason there if you feel like you need to explain. I feel this is very self-explanatory, but I could say proves the family lived at Ramsberga. You're never sad if you put more information, and then attach. So you'll see what happened here is this, you have this green bar. Now, all of a sudden, if I'm like, oh, shoot, I added it to the wrong person, this does not match, don't worry, you're good. You just click the little detach button. You put your reason for detaching and say detach. So I'm not going to do that right now because then I'll have to retype. Now we're going to say Johannes Persson Lindgren, and we're going to attach it to him. Now I want to just point something out. See that she's pink. That represents a girl. If it was a boy, it would be blue. whoever indexed this, which was the computer, based on all of these, the AI gave it this name. It did not assign a male or female. It must not have been taught that at this point. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make sure whenever I attach or I add, I need to make sure that if they're male or female is in there. So I'm going to click attach. Now I compare, it says Johannes Persson Lindgren, and this says different. I'm going to add that Lindgren because it will help the computer find more records that have Lindgren in there. I don't know if he ever dropped the Persson at some point, but we'll put that in there. And I can put this as correct because it's the household examination book attached. And I can see here that this was last worked on by Angela Whiteley in 2016. Save. So once I've saved that, now you can see it's been changed in Family Tree. So I've made an edit. It's more correct than what I had before. The sex is unknown here, but we know he's male based on his name. So I'm not going to change anything there. The birth is better on this side. It says Fina Kristianstad, Sweden. This just says Fina. And I'm going to put in that he was married. Now look at this. We have marriage here, but I already have the marriage date here. I don't want to clutter it up, so I'm not going to add that one. Then residence, I want to put the residence here. It's going to create a timeline for me to show me if the family stayed in that same area or not. This helps you to be able to find a family in a cemetery, especially if you want to take a family trip to an area where your relative lives. So I will move the residence, and it tells me he lived there for about 10 years. And then I'm going to say attach. The other thing before I attach, it will keep this same reason for other people, and you can use it. This is pretty generic. So I usually like to try a pretty generic reason if it will work. Then I click attach. All right, we're going to skip these two for just a second, and I'm going to go down to this one. When you see purple, and if it matches, which we know it does, I'm going to click attach. And you can see Esther Josefina Jonsdottir and Esther Josefina Lindgren. So somebody has put them in as Lindgren, and my guess is because we have a 1907 record, that's probably what she was going by. I'm not sure where that information came from, but I'm going to leave it as Lindgren. This was incorrect based on the fact that the computer said they all took the mother's name, which is incorrect. And then I'm going to put the residence. So do you see we start here in the middle, and then we go down the step, and I can leave the same reason and say attach. So we've got that in there. Now we're going to go to Franz Oscar. We'll click attach. Compare. I'm going to leave that Lindgren. Got a piece of hair on my mouth. Then he's male, which is better than that. And now I come down here to the birth. 3rd March, 1885, and there's an initial. And over here, somebody has it that he was born in this Västernorrland, Sweden. I don't know if that's correct. There's an O here and there's an O here, so I'm going to leave that. I can go back and analyze once I've attached this. I can go look at that original record and see if it was an abbreviation for something else on the page. I'm going to stay here in the middle and add, and then I come down here and I click attach. So we'll go to the next one. Hopefully you're getting an idea of how this works. And then my challenge to you, my invitation to you this week is that you practice every day, just like we talked about with the piano. Work on attaching sources. The more that you do it, the more comfortable you'll get. This is the bread and butter for finding your family, is attaching these sources. You have AI that's your personal research assistant. You can focus on one family and just keep attaching source after source after source. You're going to be more comfortable with FamilySearch. You'll become more comfortable with the types of records for the area that your family lived in. So what we're going to do now is we'll attach this purple one for Olga Augusta. And notice she's also going by Lindgren. Another little fun fact is in the late 1800s, starting maybe, it was a little before 1880s, but really started to come into vogue. They stopped doing the patronymics, which was the father's name. So if you see up here, the father's name was Johannes. So they'd be Johannes' daughter or Johan's daughter or Jan's daughter. They started just taking on whatever name the father was going by. So if he was Johannes Lindgren, they would probably take that on. But it's not cut and dried. You have to be a little creative. If you don't find them with one name, you try a different name. So remember, If the Swedish records are a little overwhelming to you right now, then you can move on to a different family and find records for them. But really, once you start doing them, they're some of the best records in the world. So for Olga, we're going to add her residence and then attach. All right, so now we come down to, we've got this one we've got to fix, but I'm going to show you this first. These are children that we don't have already. Now remember, it doesn't have a sex here, so when we click add, we get a little box over here on this side. So here it says we may have found her already. You'll either get a box that says we found somebody or the ability to create a new person. So here's a create a new person. Here's a Hilma Cornelia, born in 1890. If I want to look at her without losing this page, I will right click, or if you have a Mac, 2-finger click and say open link in new tab. And you can see I just have another box open here. So a tab open. So I come to this tab. I'm going to look at this Hilma Cornelia. She was born in 10 September 1890. I think that's what it was on here. Yep. So that is my person. The exact same name, exact same date in but does not have male or female. So before I merge her or attach her, actually it would be attaching. I'm not doing a merge right now. I'm going to click on this little pencil. I know Hilma Cornelia is a girl's name. I'm going to click on female and then say save. What's interesting is that Clifford Allen Gann worked on that at one point, but see how she's just floating here all by herself. So happy day, we're going to connect her to her family. So I came back here. So remember I was here, click back on this tab, and I come over here. Instead of creating a new person, I don't want to do a duplicate. I'm going to say select, and it's going to let me attach her to this family. So now, without even typing anything, I have Hilma Cornelia here. Now, she's not a Jan's daughter. All of the other kids were going by Lindgren. So I'm going to click the pencil and give her a last name, because right now she's just Hilma Cornelia. So I'm going to put Lindgren. Now, there's a chance that she took a different name, but we're going to go with that for right now. And say save. Now you may look over here and say, well, wait, it says Jan's daughter. Remember, that was a mistake from AI. I'm teaching you that now. Otherwise, you may not know and you might be a little confused. But that's one of those things that's getting perfected. That's why it's still part of an experiment. So we'll come in here and we're adding Ramsberga. And from 1886 to 96, she lived here. Then we'll say attach. So now you see all 4 of these children have this record attached, as evidenced by this little, it looks like a little paper clip, and they're all green. So I can see these are the ones that I still need to do. I'm going to add Sigrid Victoria. We'll see if she's in here or if she's floating around. So she was not floating around in Family Tree because it popped up this box. It did a quick search, did not find her. So I come up, make sure this spelling is correct. I'm getting rid of that incorrect last name. I'm going to put Lindgren for right now, based on the children, and I'm going to say she's a female based on that name. If you're not sure if it's a girl or a boy name, you can use AI. You can do ChatGPT and say, is Sigrid Victoria a girl or boy name in Sweden? You could also ask Siri if you've got an iPhone. So we're going to say, Västernorrland. So you see how when I click right here, it gives me some suggestions. Sometimes it doesn't, but because everybody else was Västernorrland, I'm going with that. And I don't have a death date or death place. So I go down here to the bottom and create new person. All without having to type anything, really. I mean, except the little thing that I wanted to change. So now she is added to FamilySearch. I'm going to add the residence and then attach. So we've just added several children. We have another Ivar Leonard. Oh, that was something, remember, we needed to check. Is it Ivar or Sven? And I think it was Ivar. Going to go to view image. And let's see, we'll blow it up. And what do you think? If you start up here, always trace it. And that looks like an I to me. An S this is an S for Sigrid. So I know that's not an S. So this is a VAR. So another record, somebody must have thought it said Sven. So we're going to change the name. We'll go back here. Oops, let's see. Nope, it's this one. Hopefully. Did I lose it? There it is. So we're going to, when you see, so now I'm like, oh, this is him. I don't want to add him as a new child. If you take your mouse and hover over this, kind of move it around, there you go. See the little double arrows? And now I have a little hand. Looks like a little Mickey Mouse hand. I click on that and I drag it down. You just click hold with your mouse. Click it. If you've got a regular mouse, it's a pointer finger, click and drag it down. And you see now it attaches. You may have to try it a couple times. You might not get it to line up. But once you have it saying attach, then you can click attach. And remember, I'm changing this to Ivar, so I click on the pencil and I say Ivar Leonard. And we're leaving Lindgren. And say save. And you can see another guy, this Jerem Zago, did it in 2022. So I see that multiple people have been working on these families over time, but we have not had a complete family up till today, at least based on this one record. So we're going to click add residence and attach. And then now we have this final little issue to figure out. So we have this Johan Harry should be all by himself. So remember how we hover over this till we see the double arrows? Now I'm going to click on it and drag it. And you see how it became purple? Then I let go. Now I can add him as a new person. So I click add, and it didn't pull up anybody else in the tree. It just says add to family tree. So I'm going to get rid of that Jonsdottir, and I'm going to put Lindgren. And then I'm going to do male because Johan Harry is a boy. And now I come down. He was actually born in a different place. He was born in Finja. So the family must have moved at some point after he was born. So I'm going to click Finja, comma, and this was down in Kristianstad. And if you don't know, look, and usually it'll have a date here that'll give you an idea of what it was called. So it was Kristianstad pre-1920. And I know that. If you didn't know, don't stress about it. Here's this one that is actually Finja, going a Vestra Kristianstad, and it goes till 96. So that fits into this time period. So I'm going to choose that. This is actually the court district. Just another little tidbit for you. So we add that, and now we don't know death place. So we're going to say create new person. And you can see that here he is. Now, if you added it and you forgot to add that it was male or change the name, just remember then you have the little pencil here. You can fix that. Then we're going to add what's in the center. And then we go down the steps and click attach. So once you've done that, so now we've got everybody is green except for this last one. So this is the girl that we saw in the record that it is actually spelled Emergentia, however you say that. I'm going to drag that down. See how it turned purple? And now we can attach. So they make it a light purple, and then you have a dark purple button once it matches. So I click attach, and she's got this one. Ramsberg is already in there. We're going to put her residence. And before I attach, I want to actually change her name. If I forget, I can go into her person page by clicking on her name right here, and I can go in and change that. So I'm going to change that from Amalia. And there's always a chance that she changed her name. Maybe she didn't like that. I don't know. Every once in a while you see a name change, but go with what you see in the record. Save. And now we're going to attach. All right. So now when you look at this, you can see all of them are green. All have this little paper clip. So we know that it's been attached. So we're getting to the end that I'm so excited to show you what we just did. And this is from one record that we found. And I chose the one that took longer because it said children. If you just need a, if you want to just do it, just one record and you only have a minute, choose one that just says one child. It'll be a lot faster. But I was able to show you a lot of different scenarios just from this one record, which was kind of fun. So I'm going to say return to family tree. If you return to record, that's going to take you back to what's been indexed. And the only reason I ever go back to that is if I want to review what's been typed out. It also has the ability to see the actual image. You could also do that up there at the top. So I'm going to say return to family tree. Now I see here's Matilda Jonsdottir. Nothing's changed here. She still has these other records that I can now come in and attach, and I'll work on that tonight. But now I can see there's now 9 children. So if I just did a quick click on Sigrid, because I'm pretty sure she was one of the new ones. Look at the green. So exciting. So I could go in and just reserve these right now. What I would recommend before you just do a quick reserve, make sure that on their sources that they lived past the age of 8 so that their temple work is not done if they were a child when they died. So I would click on the sources for her, and this said this went from 1886 to 96. So she would have only been 3 years old when this record ends. So I would go back to details, and here's another record. I would attach this record, go through the same process, and just see if this record is after that. If not, I could, in my little notebook, write down, I want to come back to her. I would come and write down her little ID number and say, I want to come back to her, and I'm going to go search for her on Ancestry or MyHeritage. We will talk about that in a future session. If that is something that's important for you to learn how to do, would you make a note in the comments that, yes, we would like to learn how to get our free accounts? Because if you're a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, you have the ability to have a free account with Ancestry, Find My Past, MyHeritage, and several others, which are very, very helpful. So I can see that she needs her work done. I would attach that. So let's say I've gone through and I've made sure that all of these children lived past the age of 8. I'm going to click on them, look and see if they have a record. Then what you can do, this is really fun. You can come up to the dad. You can say tree, view tree. Now this is really cool. If you hover over these gray boxes, gray means the work has been done. If I hover over that, I can see that on 2016 is when the father was done. Let's see when the mother's been done, except for sealing to spouse. And she is actually in process. I can see this gray 2019, her initiatory is done. So she's been shared with the temple, and she's just sitting and waiting. So if I was planning to go to the temple, I would grab her right now so that I could seal her and her husband, since he's been waiting for a while. And if I wanted to do that, I'll just show you how actually right now, really quick. Actually, I'll show you how you can reserve the entire family all at once. That may be a little easier. You could go to an individual and just click on Ordinances and click Request. That's how you can do one person at a time. And we talked, I think we may not have talked about it last time. That was in last week's session where we had some glitches. So we will do another session where we talk a little bit about that. But if you want to reserve the entire family all at once, let's go back to the dad. You go to the dad or the mom, anybody in this marriage box. I call this a marriage box. You'll click on him and click on tree. So we're going to change the view. This is the landscape view. You may wonder, why in the world are all these squished together? I have no idea. It's a little glitch that's been happening on mine. Let me know if you have that same problem, because I don't know. And there's not a feedback button over here on the side to let the engineers know. So when you go in, it may pop up in portrait view. You want to click on this little box up here and change it to landscape. And then what you're going to do is you look at the father. Here's the father and the mother. See this green temple right here? You're going to click on that. Before I click on that, I just want to point out, see these little blue circles? Those are records that can be attached. So look at all these blue circles. I've kind of hit the mother load on this family. These little blue circles mean I can go back to each of those people and find a record. Notice Judith Hilder. She died when she was 2 years old, and so there wouldn't be any more records for her. Probably just one record, at least for the household records. Then she may have a birth and a death. But if there's more records, that indicates they probably lived a little bit longer. If you look here on this one, Hilma Cornelia, you have a yellow temple, and it says it needs more information. And then also there's a little warning sign, like there's something you need to check out. It's not a scary warning sign. It's just, you need to check it out. So we click on Hilma Cornelia, and the reason why I can't do her work is because we only have O. So before I show you how to reserve this entire family using this one little green temple, I'm going to go to Hilma. For whatever reason, when we were attaching or somebody else was attaching, we didn't create a standardized birthplace. So it says missing standardized birthplace. So the way you fix that is you click on the pencil and you click right after the O, and then you should get a drop down, and you can click on that, and there you go. Let's say you're not sure where it is. You can put in Sweden, and then you click on this right below. It'll create your own standardized. Then you can do a little Google searching and see if you can find the correct. So we're going to say save. Watch what happens with this little orange temple. If I click on Ordinances, it changed to green. So we're like, yay, this is so exciting. So when you're in here, you can request just her. I guess I'll go ahead and show you this. I could request just her. I could check these boxes. If I was just wanted to do just the baptisms and confirmations, I can uncheck those, click that, and request. What I recommend doing is selecting all, clicking request, and watch what happens. It all turns blue. That means it's in process. It says in progress, not printed. I've reserved it on this date, and it expires in 2 years. I can click share with a temple or with a group. We will do another session that talks about groups and family groups that you can share with. But what I recommend doing is sharing ordinances with temple that you cannot do in the next 3 months. So and then you can come back, and if the temple hasn't picked it up, you can grab it. So I'll click share ordinances, and we'll talk about that in another session as well. And let's say I am going to do baptisms and confirmations this week. I don't know when I'm going to be able to do these. So I'm going to uncheck the ones I'm going to do. Leave these ones checked because I want those sent to the temple. I call that putting them in the Disney Fast Pass lane. If you've ever been to Disneyland, you can get in the Fast Pass lane, which moves you to the head of the line, and you get there a lot faster to the ride. When you send them to the temple, they are in that queue. They are so close to having their work done. If you just put them in your file, in your temple reservations, they could sit there for several years. And my personal opinion is that's not fair to them. Put in your file what you can do, and then you can go back. Unless it's somebody that's very near and dear to you and you want to do that, then leave that in your reservations. So I'm going to say share with temple, everything but that baptism and confirmation. So now when you come back, you can see that it's in progress, not printed here. And then now this is shared with temple. So that means this is in my reservations. If I went up to temple, it would say my reservations. And then for the first 2, baptism and confirmation, and the rest is shared with temple. All right, we're almost done with this little session. And then I'm going to encourage you to go practice this week. So what we'll do is we go back to details. Remember, details always takes you back to the main person page. So we go to details, and we're going to go down to the father or mother. We click on them. Then we go down here to tree, click on tree, and it'll go back to your most recent view. This was our most recent view. So now I can look at this tree and I can say, oh, there's missing parents here. There's missing parents here. This one actually has a record that might give me some hints. So I can see there's a few places that I can go and work on this family. You can see Hilma now is in blue, not in green, because I reserved her. Watch what happens when we go to the father and go to this marriage box, click on this green. It's going to allow us to request this entire family. So when I scroll down, I can see I have some little notes that say you may reserve these ordinances, but you have 120 days to do it. It's because somebody has shared it with the temple. I'm going to uncheck that box on any of these that have the clock because I know I don't have time to do. I have other endowments that I'm working on. So I'm going to let them stay in their fast pass lane. But this one, Johan, any that are this green, that means that they have not had anything reserved. They're ready to go. So this one is a sealing to spouse. I'm going to uncheck that as well. And this one, because those have all been shared with the temple. Let's go see if there's anybody else. So I'm keeping these because they're solid green, no little clock. I'm going to keep this sealing to parents because if I click on the father, let's see if his work's been done. Yep, father's been done. And I can see this, the sealing to spouse needs to be done. So I will want to come back and reserve that as well. Because when I seal to parents, I want to make sure the parents are sealed. Let's click on Matilda. Oh, this is the one that I need to do her endowment. So I'm not going to click the seal to parents yet, unless I wanted to do Matilda, just because I want to make sure her endowment's done before I do it. Just so you know, there is the church policy allows you to seal people before the rest of their work is done. That's the policy. My personal preference is to make sure all of the work is done before the sealing is done. I don't know how to explain that, but I just know that that's what they do allow you to do. So I'll come back here. I'm going to uncheck the sealing to parents right now until that other is done. Then I'm going to uncheck these ones, and same with the sealing to parents because of Matilda's endowment. So what I'm really feeling like is that Matilda needs to get that endowment done soon so all of these children can be sealed to her, because many of them are partway to having their work done. So I'm going to uncheck her and her. I've already got her reserved. And then Sigrid, see how she's ready to be sent to the temple. And these ones have already been sent to the temple, so I'm unchecking those. And then Judith has already been done. Actually, she doesn't need to be done because she must have already been sealed. I'm not seeing that there, but because she died as a baby, these just automatically show up as gray. So once I've done that, I'll just double check. And once I've double checked, and I know I'm going really quick through this, we're going to say request. So now I've successfully requested those ordinances. So if I refresh this page, you'll see that these should turn to blue. If they don't, that means they have children or descendants that are attached to them, or it's just a little slow. So for instance, on Johanna, when I click on this, oh, it's the reason it's still green. I forgot that we had some that were shared with the temple. So they will still show green until the temple has done them or somebody else grabs them. But the nice thing is you can see there's actually several that are blue. These are the brand new ones that we found. All right. Let's see if I can unshare this. Stop sharing. That was a little longer than what I was hoping, but I hope that this is something that will help you this week, that you will be able to work on attaching sources. So just as a refresher, you're going to come to the main FamilySearch page. You're going to come down to the FamilySearch Labs, click View Experiments. And then you're going to come down here to Grow Your Tree with AI Research Assistant, and it'll say Try It. You'll click Try It, and then you'll click on Go to Experiment. Then you'll have this box on your main page. So my invitation to you, your little piano practice that you'll do this week, is you're going to come here, touch it every day, try and attach one record. Now, this AI Research Assistant currently does not show up on your phone. So if you have a phone and you're not comfortable doing it on your computer right now, or you don't have a computer, then just keep focusing on attaching those sources that are in your tree that show up that we talked about a couple of weeks ago. And I would love to have comments to share what you've done. Email Tia, put it in the chat of your experience with doing this. So you can see now I have another source that was added, children of this spouse and children of Axel Nilsson. So you could see I could be working for hours if I chose, or I can just do it in a minute. If I want to do this possible child of Bengt Arvid, I have been able to do it in under a minute. And in under a minute, you have the ability to be able to help somebody get to the temple. So good luck. I'm super excited for you to be able to try out this AI Research Assistant. It will change your life. Have a great week. We'll see ya.